Judge Neil Gorsuch will give more testimony today to senators on Capitol Hill. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is among those who yesterday grilled the Supreme Court nominee. He suggested President Trump could face impeachment if he pushed for illegal interrogation techniques like waterboarding.
In case President Trump is watching, which it may very well be, one, you did a good job picking Judge Gorsuch. Number two, here's the bad part. If you start waterboarding people, you may get impeached. Is that a fair summary?
Senator, the impeachment power belongs to this body.
Okay, that's even better. Would he be subject to prosecution?
Senator, I'm not going to speculate.
But he's not above the law.
No man is above the law.
Okay.
Senator Graham joins us now from Washington. Senator, good morning.
That's a good way to wake up. Good morning. I like Jackie Wilson, too. That was a good song.
You retain your title as the funniest man in the Senate.
So true. So true.
It's not hard to win either. But speaking of Judge Gorsuch,
Yes.
he's one of the most qualified people to ever be nominated. 2,700 cases decided at the 10th Circuit, overruled once by the Supreme Court. I've never seen a more man qualified to be on the Supreme Court. I hope he gets 60 votes. And if he doesn't, it means politics trumps qualifications, and that'd be a loss for the Senate.
Well, you know how to count. Will he get them?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's just so overwhelmingly qualified. President Trump could not have chosen a more qualified conservative. I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan because I thought they were qualified. They were great women of the law. They had a different perspective than I do, but Judge Gorsuch is a mainstream conservative, and I've never really seen anybody do any better in a hearing. He's acquitted himself well, and the point I was trying to make is that waterboarding is illegal under the Detainee Treatment Act. He acknowledged that. And the president's backed off on waterboarding, but nobody is above the law.
So you're not expecting a Democratic filibuster?
I hope not. Let me say this. If there's a Democratic filibuster, that means that qualifications no longer matter. It's all about politics. And the only way I believe you could vote against him is for political reasons, not for politics. And that means that the election didn't matter. You know, I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan because I thought President Obama had the right to pick qualified people that were different than I would have chosen, and Trump picked an outstanding conservative. And I'm hoping my Democratic colleagues will not change the rules of the Senate. I mean, we'll give him 60 votes because he's earned it with a life well lived. I mean, one reversal in 2,700 cases, well qualified by the American Bar Association. President Trump could not have chosen better. This is one of the best people he could have chosen as a conservative in the entire country.
Senator, you seem to be full of accolades for President Trump on his Gorsuch pick, but what about this Wall Street Journal editorial that's making the rounds today regarding the president's resistance on the wiretapping claims? The Wall Street Journal, not known as a bastion of liberalism, writes, if the president doesn't show more respect for the truth, most Americans may conclude he's a fake president. Your thoughts on that?
I think the president accused President Obama of a felony. He accused him of wiretapping his campaign. The FBI director said there was no evidence of such activity. The National Security NSA director said the same thing. I think the burden now is on President Trump to justify those statements or to retract them. We live in a constitutional democracy. We live in a country where the rule of law does matter, and when you have the highest official in the land, the President of the United States, accusing his predecessor of illegal activity with no evidence, that hurts our democracy.
And if he refuses to back down?
I think he will suffer over time with the American people. You know, the great movie, Love is Never Having to Say You're Sorry. Well, what was that? Love Story? What
Love
was the
Story,
movie?
it was.
Okay,
yes.
well, here's what I would say to the president. It doesn't mean you're above having to say you're sorry or to apologize if you did something wrong. I think most people in America would appreciate it if the President of the United States had the ability to say, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. If you can't do that, then that's going to hurt you over time with the American people, because there'll come a day that you'll have to look the TV camera in the eye and tell them that North Korea is about to develop a missile, hit our homeland, and I want to stop them. You need that credibility. So I think President Trump is going to put his credibility at risk if he continues this narrative without proof.
The president, in a meeting with Republicans in the House yesterday, Senator, said that he was going to come after them if they didn't vote for this health care replacement bill. Are you guys worried in the Senate about what he might say to you?
I want to help President Trump replace Obamacare. Obamacare has been a disaster in my state. We're down to one provider. People have insurance, but it doesn't mean anything because it costs so much. So President Trump's right to repeal and replace. But let me tell you what won't work in Washington. When one politician tells another politician you have to vote for a bill because if you don't, you'll lose your job, most of us say that's not a good reason. So I want to help President Trump repeal and replace Obamacare because it's a disaster, but I will not vote for a bill unless I believe it is better than Obamacare. And the last thing you want to tell Lindsey Graham, you have to vote for this bill because I told you so. That's not draining the swamp. That's how Obamacare got passed. There were Democrats who knew that Obamacare wouldn't work, but they were afraid of President Obama and his political machine, and they voted for a bill they really didn't believe in, and the rest is history. I don't intend to do that. To Mark Meadows from North Carolina, the Freedom Caucus says no almost to everything. I'm not a Freedom Caucus type person, but in this case, stick to your guns if you believe this bill will not help the American people. Don't let any politician tell you you must vote for a bill or you'll lose your job, because how do you explain to people you represent that the reason I voted for this bill is because I was afraid of losing my job? That's not a good reason to vote for any policy, and I certainly won't do that.
Well, it will be an interesting next several days, Senator Graham. Thank you, as always, for your time.
All right, higher and higher.